So this is an odd one. My name's Ali and I've got postnatal depression. Ironically, given our social media channels and the fact that I help Sam run a parenting website, I'm a pretty private person. So for me to make a video like this is quite a big deal. I haven't done it for sympathy, I haven't done it for support, I've got plenty of both. The reason that I've done it is because I didn't expect to get postnatal depression. I didn't expect for it to take me by surprise as much as it did. And I wanted to share my story in order to make sure that if any of you out there are going through it and feel alone, you know that you're not. Even the most seasoned of parents have no clue when it comes up and bites you on the arse. I should make it clear at this point that this is just my experience of it. I'm sure everybody's is different, but I just wanted to run through what I felt kind of led to it. Gus was in intensive care for a week, which is something I didn't really deal with. I didn't think I had to deal with. As in, he was in there, he came out and it was all fine. I then just went back onto the school run and started back at work and sort of, because I'm 3 in, I'm a pretty capable person and I'm not used to stopping. I felt capable. I felt like I could do it all and it would be fine. Things just started to get a lot harder. I started to kind of not take care of myself in terms of like washing. I'd go for a couple of days without having a shower, which is really unlike me. Not wash my hair, not really do much, to be honest. Apart from care for the kids, that bit was fine. Like I could get up, I could function, I could see people, I could go to the shops, I could do all of that. I just did it all with a really heavy heart, just knowing that something wasn't right. And you just have this continual inward dialogue of, God, do you think it might be postnatal depression? No, I've got 3 kids. Like, it's just tiredness. It's just, like maybe my marriage is just a bit crap at the moment. Maybe things will get better. But then you realise that actually it's just not normal. It's not normal to feel like this. It's not normal to feel like you can't find any joy in anything. And I got quite paranoid that I was letting people down, especially Sam. I felt like I wasn't pulling my weight with work and all of that. She was amazing. And the thing that finally tipped me over the edge, if you like, was I just became quite numb, and I would sit and I couldn't get myself to move, and I would stare and I couldn't get myself to change the direction of my eyes. It just felt like something inside of me had been switched off and I didn't know how to get it started again. I just knew that it was getting worse and that the periods of staring were getting longer, and the tiredness was just crippling, like more so than the newborn. Like my husband would come home and I would go straight to bed and I would stay in bed even if I wasn't asleep. And I could get up the next morning and I could function amazingly well, but it just felt like something in me had died. But the problem is that you can carry on. It's not like you're sitting in a corner rocking gently. I'm sure there are people that do that. I'm sure there are varying degrees of it. But I was able to function. I was able to care for the kids. I was able to do all of those things. It was just getting to a point where I realised that I was just going through the motions, like there was nothing behind it. The turning point was when Chris got back from work one day and I handed over. As I started to do at that point, I would just kind of give him Gus and walk away. The kids were usually around in bed. And I went and sat on the sofa, and probably about 2 or 3 hours later, he came in and he went, I thought you'd been asleep. And I realised I hadn't been asleep. I'd been staring out of the window for that length of time, fully conscious, fully awake, just staring, not really thinking about anything, just staring. So he was amazing. He, sort of got me up off the sofa, sat me down, gave me some food, and was like, "Is everything okay?" And I was like, "No, everything's not okay." And for the first time ever, I didn't cry, I didn't get angry, I didn't do anything. I was just like, "This is rubbish." Like, I don't feel that you're supporting me. I don't feel that I'm doing a really good job. I don't know what's happening, but it's scaring me and I don't know what to do to get help about it because I've tried and I haven't, succeeded. And I think it was then, maybe it was even later, that I used the words postnatal depression for the first time, and I acknowledged to myself that perhaps this was a bit more than I thought it was. But it had taken me to get into it, and it had taken me to get out of it, and that was quite a big ask. And I think that more help needs to be out there for capable women who aren't rocking gently in a corner, but are just getting on with things, but knowing that something's not right. In terms of support, I was really well supported on all aspects. I have an amazing family who love me and who checked in on me, and I was fine around them. I see Sam basically every day, and she would always gently kind of be like, have you been to the doctor about that? Have you got some more help for that day when, you know, everything's a bit stressy? And I'd be like, yeah, I'm fine, because I kind of do just deal with it. And my husband's great, you know, he doesn't work all the hours God sends, he's around a lot. I have incredible friends, you know, my amazing friend Fee deliberately scheduled in lots of dog walks. I knew what she was doing, she was keeping an eye on me. But during those times I was really happy. I mean, like, that's the thing with postnatal depression, you're not miserable, well, my experience of it, all the time. You cope, you deal with it, you just are aware that something has changed and you just can't quite get it started again. I felt quite let down from the medical side of things, if I'm honest. Third time round, I only got one visit from the midwife with no follow-up appointments from that. At that point I was doing fine, but I didn't even get the postnatal questionnaire, you know, like when they ask you, have you been feeling down? And at that point I would have answered no, truthfully, like I was fine then. I think mine hit sort of later. But when it did hit, and when I did start to feel like perhaps things were not quite right, maybe a bit more than baby blues, I phoned my GP surgery and I tried to get an appointment. And I tried to get an appointment for nearly 2 weeks. And I remember one point I was driving and I was desperate to see the doctor, and I called and Gus was crying in the back of the car, and I spoke to the receptionist and I said, I'd like to make an appointment. She went, well, I'm sorry, you'll have to phone back at 4 o'clock this afternoon if you want appointments for Friday morning. And I was like, look, I'm desperate. I've been phoning and I haven't managed to get an appointment, and I don't think that I am particularly well. And she was like, I'm sorry, that's all there is, you know, you're going to have to phone back. And I was like, well, can I have an emergency appointment? And she was like, well, if you feel it's an emergency. I was like, well, no, of course it's not an emergency. Of course I'm capable. Of course I can keep going. Of course it'll be fine. So I carried on. For another, you know, couple of weeks. So the way I got back to the old me, if you like, I'm not quite sure I'm there yet, but I'm pretty close, is I started to talk about it. So I spoke to Chris about it and I used the words postnatal depression, and he was amazing. I started to research what postnatal depression is. I said to Sam, I think I'm going to do a video on postnatal depression. And she was like, great, because you've been scaring me. And I said to her, like, please don't think I didn't recognise what you were doing when you'd come round and just loiter for no apparent reason and bring me food and call me all the time. Like, I really, really appreciate that more than, you know, she'll ever know. And I told my friends, I said, you know, I don't think that I'm okay. And then things got a lot better once you recognise it in yourself. I feel that that is sort of part of the battle. I haven't been on medication. I have sort of done my own thing, and I'm sure that there are varying degrees of postnatal depression, and I have obviously had a very mild case of it, because I feel like I've really turned a corner and I feel like I'm back to my old self. The good news is that things are on the up, and it's all good, and things are getting better every single day. So to you, sitting on the sofa watching this, feeling like something's not right, it's not, but it is completely normal. So tell someone. Please tell someone. Tonight, when your partner gets home, just tell him that you're struggling and that things aren't right. Tell a friend, call the GP, hopefully yours will be better than mine. Google, there's loads of help out there. Send me an email, Instagram, whatever it takes, just ask for help. You're not alone, and you're not the only one going through it, and you're not mad, and you're not bad, and you're not dangerous. You just need some help. So ask for it, because it is out there and things will get better, I promise.